Juwan, how you doing? I'm going to bring our guest on right now. I see he's in the background there. Here he is. Hold on one second there. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. Let me just change the layout here. I hate that layout. There we go. We're getting a little nervous, Juwan.
Why? What happened?
I was just getting a little close to 8 o'clock, and we've had a time or two before where we're like, hey, this person's supposed to be here, but not yet. So how about some shadow puppets?
Yeah, no, I didn't know if you could see me. I've been sitting in for a minute,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, glad to be here. Glad to be here. You guys ain't have to worry.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, Juwan.
No, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
So let me tell you about Juwan right off the bat. My fondest memory of Juwan. And Juwan, I don't even know if you're going to remember this one.
Right.
And for those of you guys who don't know who we are, we're New Jersey Paranormal. I'm John. This is Chris. I wear the glasses because I have a neurological issue with lighting, so I have to wear them. But we also run the New Jersey Power Unity Expo convention in New Jersey, which the Ghost Brothers have been there 2 or 3 years now. And Juwan, I'll never forget this. There's a party, and then there's kind of an after party that's pretty big. And Juwan is there, and there's other people hanging around there and drinking and having a good time. And next thing I know, I hear Juwan say, hey, let's order Domino's for everyone. And it's like 50 people in a room. And I'm thinking, he's not going to do that. And there's the Domino's guy with like 10 pies stacked onto each other. And Juwan's like, here, grab it. Here, some for you. Here's some for you.
See, you remember that part of it. What I remember is that coming down at 4 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, my God.
To go and move our car that's not even in the parking lot because there was nowhere to park. And you're still down there with Project Fear.
That sounds about accurate. I definitely remember all of that. The funny thing is like I can sit here and tell you that I remember it. That's the funny thing. Like, that lets you know, like I didn't go too crazy because we all know how like the after parties at New Jersey Paracon can get. Like it can get wild, but it's always a good time. No, I definitely remember that story, man. Like it was late night. We needed some food. It was just, we needed some food. I think it had been several hours since we ate. Everybody had been drinking. Let's go ahead and get a nightcap.
Well, I tell you what. Again, we're not. We're in our 50s. So literally, she's right, though. We had to come down there because the parking lot was just packed with people the whole entire time.
Yeah.
And it's like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I get off the elevator. I'm half asleep because I had to move my car. And I think it was Juwan,
Dakota.
Steve from Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
Dakota, Tanner. And I can't remember who else was there. But they were still just like,
you guys looked like you had just
like
started.
It was like 8 o'clock at night.
The pizzas probably gave us a second win.
We looked like the cats were just dragging us all over, and you guys look fresh.
I feel like honestly, that is probably the first or second time that like I really got to kick it with Project Fear, right? And so we don't all get together a lot in the paranormal space. Like, I mean, granted, we have a lot of events throughout the year, but like realistically, as teams, we don't connect with one another. So like, we really look forward to those conventions. So like, we're extremely appreciative for y'all for throwing it and having the after parties and stuff. But like, yeah, I just take that time to just try to connect with some friends that are on the other teams. Like that is just, it's a moment that I just won't take for granted. You know what I mean?
Well, isn't it cool that you do, like you said, you do get to meet all of your fans, and we're going to get into that stuff because, again, the Ghost Brothers in general, and I'm not saying this just because they come to our convention and that we've met them a few times now. They are like amazing to their fans. They really are. I mean, people line up. They usually get a big crowd of people waiting to meet them, and rightfully so. But they don't rush anybody. They don't. There's no ego there. They hug. They do videos. they're just good guys,
People walk
man, and
away
people
with
love
the
them.
best experience.
Yeah, I mean,
That means a lot. I appreciate it. I think you've always given me that positive feedback, like every year. As you may know, I don't know if these people know, but like you guys are ripping and running when it comes to the convention. Like you guys are always in separate directions, but always it's like a bunch of love when I run into Chris or when I run into you, John. And that speaks volumes. Like we try to come and just show up and be present, and we hope that our appreciation resonates. You know what I'm saying?
I
And it
mean,
does.
you're talking about guys who literally you go to them and I'm not trying to put pressure on you to do this again because everybody should stop to eat at some
What are you about to
point.
say? We don't take a lunch?
You really,
Yeah.
you guys don't. I mean, we go over to you guys and we're like, hey, you know, we appreciate so much that you guys come and that you're there and that you're so good to the people that come to support
Yeah, you
our
don't
event
step away
and the
from your
convention.
fans.
So we're like, what do
Yeah.
you guys want for lunch? Tell us what you want. They don't leave the table. They're there.
I don't even think they even got to eat their food
I
last
was
time.
gonna say, like even when we get the food, it's not like we take a moment to be like, all right, guys, let us eat real quick. Like we'll be like, let me snag a fry here and there in between like photos and stuff like that. But I mean, come on, like they've waited for however long. We can surely give them, you know, a little bit of time or just kind of keep going. You know what I mean? Like it's just I really feel like it's just a reflection of like the human experience. And you know, we show up for one another in that regard. And that just is another reflection of like how appreciative and how grateful we are to be there. But also like I think it shows how grateful they are to be there, right? Like the fact that they stay for hours and I mean, we've had moments where you've had to shut it down. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
We
you've
remember
had to-
that all too well.
Yeah. Like it's like we're violating fire code. We're at capacity, and everybody's like, no, we're gonna thug it out. We're gonna hang
The
out some
heat.
more. The heat, like all of that. It's just, man, it's a true testament of like of a great event, but also like you know how
It's a
genuine
team
everybody is.
effort. It's
Absolutely.
everybody.
Well,
It's
and here's to his point as well. And I remember this last year, wrapping up. You know, it's 2 days worth of convention party at night, and here this is the Ghost Brothers in the room, and they're packing up their stuff, getting their stuff ready, and you know people. You know, you cut off the line at a certain point because they're done. They're gonna go. They're gonna get. They
And you
got
want people to
flights
stand in
catch
line
or
for nothing.
whatever. But
Mhm.
they're like, people come walking in. They're like, oh man, you know, oh their lines are closed or whatever. And they're like, no, come on over, come on over. They did that like for an extra. I don't know how many minutes. They were just like, no, come on over. And I appreciate that because I put myself in the fan shoes of, hey, I paid the money. I traveled. I really wanted to meet you guys. If you wanted to be prima donnas and whatever, you could be like, no, man, here's the deal. We were paid till this time. We got to go.
I think we had 3 engagements that happened last year at the expo, and somebody was having their honeymoon at the expo.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see. I know we've been in situations where like people have had birthdays, and I know we do extreme birthday shout outs. Like if you're in line and you tell us it's your birthday, we're going to get everybody's attention. We're going to give you a happy birthday shout out. And we just try to do that for people, just trying to make that moment memorable. So I think it's awesome that you can actually have people doing engagements and honeymoons. It's just
this year it's going to be everybody in line's birthday. You know that.
I can see it. I see it now.
Hey, hell, I'm gonna get one.
I see it now. Now I gotta treat it like a family chain with a whole jingle and everything.
So we're gonna go through the whole thing, Juwan, from the beginning. You know how you got into the paranormal and the show. And my one question is that I'm fascinated because I always try to put myself in the position of you, all of you who are on TV and have that kind of following where people will travel to meet you. What does that feel like from one day to go from being Juwan, just who's doing what he's doing, trying to do his own business, and to being a guy who now has a line of people? wanting to meet you and get pictures. What does that even feel like? How do you get used to that?
It's overwhelming, and I can say you find a way to balance it, right? Like, I don't know if it's one of those things where you get used to it. I think you just learn to like understand that this is a new reality that you're now stepping into. And then you just find a way to adjust in your emotions. Like, okay, this may be overwhelming initially, but now it's appreciation. Now it's
Right.
now it's gratitude.
Right.
Now it's one of those moments where like it's just, like I said, I really just enjoy being of service, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's just a grateful place to be. I'm very receptive to that energy. And I appreciate those that take the time out to approach. Like, I think that's a tough dynamic to try to navigate. Like, when you're also a fan and you're like, yo, I don't know how to broach this conversation. Like, it's like, how do I make this, like, how do I say hello? I don't want to bother them. I don't want to come off as like overbearing. And I just try to limit that. Like, I find a way to try to, break the ice or try to make you feel as comfortable as possible. Like, this is, like I said earlier, this is a very human experience. Like, I may be on a show that you genuinely love, but also like I'm a fan of you for the circumstances that you've allowed me to be in. So like, it's a beautiful thing. But I get tired. Like, not gonna lie.
Out of
It's just something
curiosity,
you have to balance.
Out of curiosity, is there anyone you would wait online for 2 hours to meet?
Maybe Jesus Christ.
That's a good answer.
We had this discussion with Kalani, and they were all saying celebrities and like that. And I said, I'm not that type of person. It's just my personality. I just love people generally. If you're a good person, I'm drawn to you. Then we're friends.
And we're here.
Me, I said, and they all laughed at me. If Mother Teresa was alive, she's someone I would have waited 10 hours to meet her.
And you know what? She would have waited the 10 to meet you as well.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's the energy she gave off.
Yeah.
I don't know her personally. That would be a good person to meet.
But you see what I mean? You said Jesus, so we're on the same page with that.
Yeah. But here's the thing too, and you bring up a good point, and I like your attitude, because Amy Allen from the Dead Files, when she used to come to the convention, she had a line as long as your guys' line that would go all the way down the hallway, and I would literally beg her, because people were waiting 2 hours, whatever, to meet her. And I would say, Amy, please, could I put like an egg timer and just, because people are in the back of the line. And she said just pretty much what you said, which impresses me to no end. That she said, John, these people kind of made me who I am. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here on this side. I'm not rushing anybody. I'm not going to give any of them less of an experience, because she just appreciated it so much. And again, so many people have egos in this world. You know that, and it's easy to get a big head and think I'm somebody. But people like you and like Amy, those are the ones that people gravitate to, because you're a good guy. I saw it. I saw it even when we went to Penhurst and we saw you there hanging out with Steve and Tanner and those guys. You just real approachable. Hey, how you doing? That's who you are. It's never like you're approaching a celebrity. You're just and it's guy.
Funny. He'll tell you I'm a people watcher. Most people don't know that. I'm kind of sly like that. I know. Now I know what
superpower is. I'm watching you, Chris.
I literally watch to see people how they are when they're off. And that really shows. And you don't change.
I appreciate that. That is well received.
You don't change. You're the same person consistently across the board.
I try to be authentic.
So let's go back to the beginning with the paranormal stuff and how it led to where. And I'm sure you've done this interview many times, but
not with you. I've only done it once.
Exactly. So we all have our different reasons for doing what we do. For me, the basis of paranormal beliefs or everything, and you just brought up religion and your faith and who you would want to meet Jesus Christ. Has your beliefs in the afterlife changed from the way you were brought up to believe to after what you've done on TV and whatever else? Has anything changed, or do you still believe whatever happens after we die is the same?
Any evolution or evolving?
Yeah, there has been growth in that space.
Right.
And I also think there are some things that has remained the same in that space. But two of the things that I can really think about that's changed for me is one, now doing this, I've become a lot more open to the paranormal genre in general. When I grew up, we can talk about ghosts and we can talk about like things like Halloween, but those were taboo to speak about because I grew up in the church and it was extremely religious. So we didn't celebrate Halloween unless I was like at school and you gave out candy. But outside of that, it's like, yo, we're going to go to church and it's Hallelujah night, right? Like,
wow,
it rebranded something differently just simply because that is the devil's holiday, if you will. Like,
wow.
That's not, so like I'd be over the moon if I just got an opportunity to put on a costume. I think I can probably tell you maybe like 3 times in my life where I was like dressing up for Halloween.
Oh wow! So as a kid, you never trick or treated. You didn't go house to house. You didn't do.
Not all the time. No, like
wow.
It was a thing. Like I remember when I did go out, there was a very moment I was like, my friends and I were intentional about going to like an extremely well-off neighborhood,
right? Of course.
To try to see like if we're gonna get small candy bars or large ones.
I think everybody does that.
Yeah. See if they're gonna supersize me. You know what I mean? Like, or king size it. And I'm like, but even that year, I look back on it, I'm like, yo, we did this and we didn't have a costume. Like we were just in like our everyday clothes, and I had an old pillowcase.
Yeah, I remember.
I had an old pillowcase, and yeah, I went trick or treating door to door. I was gifted with some of the best candy, but like those memories are very few and far between. So when I say it's opened me up, like I've allowed to explore that genre a whole lot more. And one of the reasons I got into this is because I'm naturally inquisitive. So now I'm able to like really tackle that in a great way. I can utilize that curiosity in this space, and I love that. The other thing that's changed for me is, man, I'm a lot more conscious about how I live my life because I'm not sure of what the afterlife is going to be. But it's like, let me live a great life. And then, in hopes that I'm rewarded for that on the other end. Like, I think now I'm a lot more conscious. So.
But that's a great point that you bring up. And I always ask that question for a reason, because I don't come from a religious background. So my belief in the afterlife is just based on what I've experienced in the 20-something years of doing this. But I often wonder, because we did speak to Dalen, and Dalen has a similar background to
Absolutely.
you.
Yeah.
And I wonder, if you're brought up a certain way to believe a certain way, and it's religious based, in religion, they're not taught that spirits are in a building or that they're around, right? It's kind of heaven or nothing. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, I mean, it also depends on the religion.
Okay.
Right? Like, I think you can get very specific because you do have some religions that believe that there is a middle ground between heaven and hell, which they call purgatory, right?
Right.
But I would say overall, from like a macro standpoint, I think you're just kind of taught that like you have this benevolent spirit and you don't deal with anything. Everything else is demonic, right? And so if you're not even open to the idea that like you could encounter something that may not be evil.
Right.
And that's something that was just never explored. And so like I didn't really realize that in a real way until we started doing investigations and we started going to these different haunted places. And you're like, oh, not everything you come across is going to be demonic, or not everything you come across is going to be evil or have this like possessive quality. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Now, at what age were you when you started doing those investigations? You were in your 20s, right?
yes, yeah, yep. I would want to say, yeah, mid-20s.
So how does that? I don't know about your parents, your mom and your father. Do you have a good relationship with
Uh,
your?
yeah, I have a great relationship with my mother, and I have a working relationship with my father.
Gotcha. So your mom was obviously a religious, is an obviously religious person. What did your mom think when you were coming to her going, "Hey, I know we were raised this way and we're taught this way, but I'm going to be doing this thing"? Did she say, "Why would you
Uh,
do that? This is against kind of
What's wrong with
yeah."
you?
right? Did she immediately like ostracize me? Like, now
Well,
you are on your own. No, she didn't give me that.
so now you're a devil worshiper, son.
Yeah,
Great.
exactly. Like, I can never bring you back to church. What are we doing? She has always supported me.
Okay.
Whether she's able to wrap her mind around the concept fully in the moment, or like it's something that she just didn't believe in wholeheartedly, and she's always going to allow me to be me.
Right.
It's funny, like I've had people ask her, like, "Yeah, what if I told you your son did this, or what if I told you your son said this?" Her answer is always the same. She was like, "You can't really surprise me on what my son would say or do because he's his own individual person." You know what I mean? So like, it may not be what I think he's gonna say, but I'm also allowing him the room to say what he needs to say.
But you see, I think that is true faith. I
Yeah.
think that is the testament of someone who's really living the true life of faith.
Mm,
That you don't put strictures and block somebody into something that this is the way it has to be. So
yeah.
kudos
Well,
to your mom.
I mean, but
Michael,
she also was like, she's also very much branded the whole thing.
Yeah.
So she was like, if you're gonna be a ghost brother, I'm a ghost mother. And now you're oh, okay.
Oh,
So now
that's
you want to be a part of this role. Got it. Let's do it.
so did your mom watch the show?
Yeah, she has.
Did,
She
did
has.
you did she ever talk to you afterwards about like, hey, you
Yeah,
know,
but it's crazy because I would have thought it brought out her telling me that she's had experiences, but
Oh,
this is the thing, it hasn't brought her to want to share that with me yet.
uh,
So like it's still a very much a sensitive topic,
yes,
right?
taboo.
And she still would be terrified though. Like that is, I know she wouldn't go on an investigation. If she would, like I feel like we'd have to do it with the lights on and the daytime.
But you see, that's something. I hope that she tells you before she can't, because I found out things after my grandmother died that I wish I could talk to her about. That probably would have made my younger life a much healthier life mentally and physically if I'd have been able to talk to her about those taboo subjects.
Yeah.
and the thing for me is that, like you said, death is not a comfortable conversation, especially, believe me, when you get older. Like, again, I told you, we're in our 50s, we're on the back nine. It's not comfortable to think, unless I knew for sure that there was something better and we're all going to meet again and all those stories are true. Yeah, I'd feel great. And we've talked to people who had near death experiences who said, we went there, we felt great, we came back, don't be afraid. But of course you're going to be afraid because but when you get to the point now, after what you've been through, and you're someone kind of unique because you're raised one way, yet you've done things and experienced other things that are contrary to what you were kind of brought up and taught. What do you believe now? How do you believe it? If you had to guess on how it works when we pass, do you think we could go and come back? Do you think we can be stuck? Do you think that if you're murdered or there's a tragedy, you're just kind of there, you don't know you're dead? Like, what are your thoughts on all that stuff? I know it's a big question.
No, to encompass it all is like your point. I don't know. And what I like to think is the way I live today is going to affect what my afterlife experience will be.
Okay.
And if I am, let's say I am unsettled in a very particular place in life, I think that those things will come to the forefront in death. So like what we may experience, let's for example, say you're on an investigation and you feel like you encounter a spirit that just had trouble, that felt anger, or you feel like this turmoil, and like there's something that didn't go addressed while they were living. And that's just a theory. I don't know. But I'd like to find a certain level of peace in my life, as to you put it, as I get on that back nine, and I can comfortably say I'm okay transitioning. I think there's a certain point where like you're not okay transitioning, and that's simply because you feel like you may have some things that are unsettled while you're living. I don't know where you may go. I personally, I'll tell you this. I think I would like to, when I pass away, I think I want to, like, I don't know, maybe be cremated and come back as like a plant. You know what I mean? Like,
okay,
something, I don't know. It's just, I just think about like, how can I continue this journey and maybe in a different,
that's kind of a unique,
it's a different experience.
Yeah, in a different way, like in a different life form, right? Like like how can my life be of value in another life? And I feel like it could be from a compost standpoint. And then like maybe
you know what's funny about that too? Not haha funny, but we were talking about people talk about whether they want to be buried and have a tombstone, or they want to be cremated, and tombstones are great. They last forever, but some don't. They fade and they wind up just being overgrown.
They get plowed over.
My mother's ashes are literally right across from where I'm sitting, and
wow.
I talk about all the time how excuse me, they mean everything to me, and they will mean everything to my kids. But beyond that, who is going to care about my mother's ashes and what will eventually happen to them?
You'd hope somebody like us would come along and still show reverence to the ones that've transitioned.
Exactly. I'm thinking more Viking funeral. I think I want to be put on a boat and just
cast it out to sea, huh?
Let the ashes just burn, and then I float away. And I think people would,
I can arrange that.
TikTok. I think I'd be around for a while.
I already have someone that wants his bones.
Oh well.
Wait? How do we? You running deals on the black market while he's alive?
See what I mean, Juwan? You think she's nice and sweet, and you see what's going on here? This is why I have problems with my vision. I think there's something going on here.
Don't go anywhere anytime soon. You didn't recently take out a life insurance policy.
Oh my god!
Oh
my god!
Not yet.
So I remember, again, I hate doing the Wikipedia interviews, but you especially, there's not a lot about you. It's funny to read the articles and the stuff where people talk about you and about your relationships, lots of different things. But I did read something about a story when you were 12 years old. They said you would go into cemeteries. And what struck me is not strange that you would do that, because a lot of people do that. I did that. Everybody
did it for fun and challenge.
You said you felt things.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It was the first time I felt like I'm not gonna say it was the first time I felt an energy and nobody was around me. So like I didn't know how to explain that. I didn't know what that was. I was literally running through this cemetery, and it was at night, and I felt like I was running by myself, and I felt like somebody was running with me. Like I just felt like it was a presence over my shoulder, and I always turned around and I didn't see anything. Like that was simply, and so like I'm trying to pick up speed, and I don't know. Can you really outrun a ghost? Like, is that a thing? Who knows? I wasn't caught that day, but
so obviously you can.
Maybe.
Or how would you know if you outrun it?
Yeah, but it did. It to your point though, it brought up so many questions. Like, in that cemetery where I had my first paranormal experience, when I was older, I found out that cemetery was family owned, and we have relatives that were buried on that property.
No.
Yeah. And so I was just kind of like, well, maybe it wasn't for me to be afraid of, right? Maybe it's just like a
connection.
A connection, right? Yeah. Maybe like maybe somebody else wouldn't have felt that if they ran through this cemetery. Like, I don't know. Maybe it was like, I'm with you as you're running through this cemetery, as opposed to I'm trying to get you while you're running through this cemetery. And
Could you imagine if this was one of your ancestors that was there with you?
come on, Chris, preach.
I mean, honestly, trying to catch up to you to let you know that, hey, here, you know,
Holy cow.
we know him. He's here.
Like, wait. I gotta tell you something. You know what I mean? It was like a message, like, wait, don't run.
But you know what's strange is that the more you do this and the more places you go and the more people you meet and the more people you talk to.
That sounds like a Dr. Seuss novel. Isn't it the Dr. Seuss book? Like, isn't it like
but the truth is there's always more questions than answers. We'll never know all of the answers about everything. And belief is a big part of it, but I kept going back to beliefs change so much as you get older
as you grow.
and you experience so many things. You've went into how many buildings would you say you guys have went into in the shows that you were?
I've lost count, honestly. Yeah.
Ballpark.
I mean, with the shows, it's probably 40, 50. You know,
40 or 50.
Yeah, easily.
So episode number 1 you're filming.
Yep.
And that's got to be weird in itself. Did you have any kind of TV experience prior to Ghost Brothers or no?
Yeah, I did. So before actually Ghost Brothers, I used to work in television and film, but I was just behind the scenes. So I actually used to do wardrobe for different television and movies. So I had already had production experience.
Okay.
I had very limited roles in front of the camera. I had done some extra work. I had done a few different projects here and there, but it wasn't to the extent of Ghost Brothers. I was not talent to the point to where like I'm a host and I have this recurring role. So Ghost Brothers was a new journey for me, not just in the paranormal space, but also being in front of the camera.
Who pitched the idea? Which one of you came up with the idea of, hey, let's go into haunted buildings and do this thing?
So the idea came from Dalen.
Okay.
And we were roommates at the time. And so he literally, man, he kicked my door in middle of the night and was just kind of like, yo, we should hunt ghosts. And I'm like, yo, get out. You know,
you're like David, no. You're like David, you shouldn't be smoking this late.
That was next. I said, bro, are you sober? I'm asking him, like, yo, are you sober? Like,
he did say he wants to be a plant in the next life.
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on? That's funny, Chris. I like
he didn't say which plant. You're right.
So I'm like, he went back in his room. I woke up the next morning and I'm like, yeah, bro, let's hunt ghosts. And so we set out to come up with this concept of being ghost hunters. And it was really more so to put something together and then for somebody else to do. We weren't initially trying to be these Black paranormal investigators. We were like, surely there are other Black paranormal investigators out there in the space.
Right.
We were just trying to show proof of concept, and come to find out there weren't other Black paranormal investigators that were on TV that we knew of that were in the space. There were other Black people, honestly, that I feel like were interested in paranormal, but not organizing it the way we were and was trying to present it in that form. So it became like this huge thing. And Dalen and I, we put it on YouTube, and we were network reached out to us probably 5 years later.
Wow.
Yeah, like Dalen and I weren't roommates anymore.
You guys all thought that just
we shelved it. We shelved it.
But what was the preparation for that? Did you watch any of the paranormal? Like, did you watch Ghost Hunters or any of those shows before? Did you even have an interest in any of that?
It was I had paranormal experiences before, right? But this was like, all right, let's just try our hand at this. We didn't know what we were doing. We knew there was a framework of we got to find a haunted location. We got to take some cameras in there. We didn't just trying to film in the dark was a new thing, right? We're like, oh, wait, you're right. We need some light, but how do we keep this place I guess, have to maintain this spooky element.
Right.
You know what I mean? We don't want a bright light. So now we got to figure out what IR looks like. These are things that we're learning along the way. But we found a couple of haunted locations in Atlanta, and we explored those. We went down to Savannah one time. We went to a couple of haunted places in Atlanta, and we were really just trying to see. Like, it was not, we didn't have any specific question. It's like, yo, what outside of what's going on? Like, how do we do this? Like, what happens if I walk in this place? You couldn't tell me that, like, hey, Juwan, I want you to go sit in this room with a camera and this room is haunted. Like, I probably wouldn't have done that prior to this. That's not, like, I would have been like, no, for what? What are we trying? What are we talking about? If it's haunted, there's no reason for me to have to go try to find that out. Like, we know, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to tell y'all if y'all telling me it's already haunted. But no, this is a beautiful experience. It was a great journey. You learn so much. It's funny because you learn how your friends start to react to certain emotions.
Right.
And so you grow with them on this as well. Like, I think Dalen and I have learned each other early on about, like, yo, how he handles fear. And I think what works is Dalen, myself, and Marcus, we all handle fear with humor.
Right.
Like, I think it's like, and maybe that's because of the relationship we already have. Maybe it's because we're already friends and we know that, like, the comfort is going to be comedic. It's going to be like, all right, let's offer some levity just for our own sake. Like, this isn't even for, like, the viewers who are going to see this. We're not trying to be funny. This is how we're going to cope with this location and this situation. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't.
It's not staged. It's how you guys act.
But you know what's good too? Here's what makes the good Ghost Hunter shows good. The original Ghost Hunters they're the ones who set kind of the framework for everything. You can't cast it. It shows when the chemistry isn't there and that the people they don't really know each other, that they were just kind of, you're from California, you're from Massachusetts, we're going to put you all together and now you're a team and you're going into, you guys, like you were just saying, the joking, you could tell you knew each other right off the bat and that you were comfortable with each other doing this thing, and people resonate with that. It's real. And you guys came across like, but in the beginning, it was you and Dalen. Marcus wasn't part of the original.
Marcus came along. Marcus came along after after the network reached out to us.
Okay.
So on the sizzle, Marcus was a part of it when we actually shot, like, the trailer for the actual show. We brought Marcus on. We introduced.
So was there another, like the Beatles? Was there another Ghost brother who didn't make it?
Yes.
Into the.
Yeah, so we actually shot the sizzle with 4 of us.
Oh.
It was myself, Dalen, Marcus, and a guy named Charlie. And Charlie was actually a white guy. And
I'm sorry, Charlie.
Oh man, like
Charlie too now.
Charlie got voted off the island.
It's
tough.
Sorry,
Charlie.
It's tough.
You could have had those long lines and those adoring fans, and
I feel like Charlie probably has found fulfillment in other areas of his life. He was he was a brilliant dude, and he was also really into, like, film. So the idea of doing television and making television and production, that was a passion of his. So I'm pretty sure he's navigated his way in this genre in a very different way. But I think it was interesting, right? Like, it was like they didn't want the 4th person. And maybe it was because he was white, but also, like, maybe it worked better with 3. You know what I mean?
The chemistry was probably so good between the 3 of you.
Did you have that same humor with Charlie that you had between the 3 of you?
Yeah, we did. Honestly, we were friends with Charlie. This was, Dalen knew Charlie in LA. Dalen introduced me to Charlie. Like, I had met him a couple of times before we did this. So we already had a relationship. So, and he brought an interesting perspective as well. Like, he was, I want to say, a skeptic. So he was very much in there to debunk things. And, you know, like, when you start debunking stuff, humor really starts to play because you can run with certain theories, right? Like, it's a great way to riff when you're trying to like see if something's bullshit.
You're right though. I mean, there a lot of the stuff that's on today on YouTube and TikTok and all that, and again, people do things different ways. It is what it is in the paranormal field. But a lot of these people are content creators, and they don't try to really debunk a lot of the stuff. But like you said, some of that stuff that you think is something is funny anyway. And I like the Ghost Adventures. I know a lot of people don't like that show, and they have their reasons, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But they show their outtakes where Zach will be walking around in the dark, and there's a wire hanging from the ceiling that he can't see in the dark in IR, and it touches him, and it's a real reaction. I mean, she freaks out all the time.
I'm a runner.
Yeah, all the time.
Same.
All the time.
Same.
And
Shame.
you're in the dark. How could you not? Your senses are heightened.
Absolutely.
You have no idea
yourself.
what's in that next room, and things happen.
It's tough. I've gotten tangled up in some spider webs myself. Yeah.
So you guys went right away from Ghost Brothers being really, really popular. I mean, when you guys came on, I wasn't watching at first, but everybody kept telling me, you got to watch these guys. They're so funny. You got pop the trunk. You got, and I'm like, what are you people talking about? So I watched the show, and I was just like, yeah, they're definitely different, and they're definitely funny. It's different than any other show that's on there. And then you did the show with Jack Osborne,
right,
which was called
Fright Club.
And that was, did you film that the same time you were filming Ghost Brothers, or was that different?
Yeah, so we actually filmed that while we were filming Ghost Brothers Lights Out.
Wow.
Yeah, so we would take a week off of Lights Out and go film all of Fright Club.
Wow.
We were filming like two episodes a day, 2-3 episodes a day.
Now, when you're dealing with, and I know this is behind the scenes stuff, when you're dealing with travel or whoever, Warner Brothers or whatever, is it a year-to-year deal? Like, you don't know? And that's what I got from like all the posts that I see. Do you finish a season and not know right away that there's another one? You have to kind of wait on that?
They usually wait. The rule of thumb is usually like they don't have much data from the season until you're probably a few episodes in.
Okay.
And so like you don't really know whether you're gonna get renewed or even like the traction of your season until you're probably like halfway through.
See, that's kind of strange to me, because you would think, especially your show is popular right off the bat, you think they'd lock you into like at least a 3-season kind of deal, and then renegotiate after that. So for you and Dalen and Marcus, kind of like, what is that like? Is it every like halfway through the season, are you guys like, what's going to happen now? What are we going to do if this doesn't? Or do you just, hey, if it is, it is. If it ain't, it ain't. What's the attitude?
You gotta have, I think early on it's a very much it is. If it ain't, it ain't.
Right.
But then you learn to understand the nature of the business, and you're like, all right, how can I prepare myself for this when it comes? And it's usually not to say that it always comes, or not to say that it doesn't come. It's to say that I want to be able to have this in place given these circumstances.
Right.
And like they may come back around and say, hey, we want to renew. And that doesn't necessarily mean we have to sign another contract either.
Yeah, it's your choice.
Right. That all depends on how long your initial deal is for. But it can be maybe a year. It can be 2 years. It's one of those things.
You're in it while you're in it.
Yeah.
So you opened a door a little bit that I just want to take a second off track with the paranormal for anyone that doesn't know this about you. In college,
yes,
group of guys together created something very unique. You are a designer. You have this 3-word thing that you said when I read it, and you inspire. And I think what was it? The 3 words that you use in this business that you do?
I don't know.
Feel, be, and do. I believe.
Look, feel, be.
Yeah, And
Look,
I love that.
feel, be. That was definitely a moniker for us for Loren Spratt for a while. It was I mean, it's very. I mean, honestly, it's just it is what it is. It's look. It's we want you to look a certain way, and once you look a certain way, like you'll feel a certain way, and when you feel a certain way, you will be a certain way. And it's all about just at the end of it, you want to be present, and you don't want to have to second guess your wardrobe.
Do you feel that doing something like this while you were in college with the five set of guys that you're doing this and designing, that you're not also inspiring the next generation to come up and do something and be?
I would like to hope so. I would like to think that what I am doing is inspiring. Like I would love to. But like that's really the big thing, right? Like you want to be able to, even when you have kids, I don't have them, but like it's like, how do I pass this on?
Yeah.
Like how do I continue to tell, or how can like my story be continued to be told in a certain selfless way, if you will. And like
so is designing a passion? And I'm gonna ask this real quick because I was fascinated by it. Why suits?
I think it's timeless.
Yeah,
I think it's timeless. It's classic. Right. It is something I've always really been interested in. I grew up wearing suits. I grew up like taking an interest in it. Anytime I would get a moment to put one on, like there was a shop that wasn't far from my house that my mother took me to, and like the older gentleman in there, they used to take me under their wing, and they're like, "Oh, I know how I'm gonna dress you this way, young buck. Like, we're gonna go ahead and put this on you this time." And I learned to appreciate that. But you're taught something that is timeless, although the looks may be trendy, although that the designs may change.
Right.
That particular garment is always going to remain a staple.
I think suits give confidence.
I think he's right about time. When you look at all those older pictures, even if you go back to when photography began and you see a gentleman in a suit, it just says something about them. Even if they were poor, they still had one good suit that, like you said, when they put it on, they felt different. They felt better about themselves.
More so it's how we receive them. You know what I mean?
Right,
like to your point, Chris, it's just I think like you perceive someone differently when you get dressed up, and maybe we're programmed to do so, but also it works in somebody's favor.
Right.
I was walking on the sidewalk one day in a suit, and a guy was coming out of court, and he was like, "Hey, I want you to represent me." I'm sorry, sir. But like it's the suit. I get it.
You're right.
That's why maybe I'll wear a suit from now on. When now you've got me self-conscious.
So is this?
I got
my purple T-shirt.
John, I got you. We can get you. I can get you a suit.
We need to talk for sure.
I can take your measurements. You can pick out a fabric, and we can go for it.
But I wanted to showcase that besides the paranormal, because I think it's very unique and it's special. Each one of you do your own thing outside of the paranormal, and it's been very unique. And again, design. That's what you went to college for?
No, I actually have a degree in business.
Say?
The design was more just like a passion project, if you will.
And you still feel passionate about it? You're still very involved?
Yeah, I'm still very involved. And I just genuinely enjoy the idea of putting a suit on. And like it's even more rewarding if it's something that I've kind of, came up with.
So were you the one that put you guys in that suit and that promo photo there where you're all standing there looking good in those suits?
It was probably my idea.
Yeah.
But it's also a group effort. I think we all enjoy the moment where we can just kind of like.
It's one of my favorite promo shots you guys have.
I'm not even sure. I'm not specifically which one I'm not even sure like specifically which one you're talking about.
You guys had the black. You guys had like blue suits on.
Were we in the street?
No.
We were in a studio.
Yeah.
Like it was.
There was just like you don't even know what the backdrop. It was just the three of you were center stage in your suits, turned to the side, one in the middle, and it was very impressive.
I love it. But I love it. I think we all enjoy that moment, like because in this space, it's usually very casual.
Yeah,
extremely casual. So how can we do something a little different? And I think we enjoyed that. I know I did.
So
For sure.
when all this was going on with the merger with Warner and Discovery, and did all of you have any inkling that what was coming down the pike as far as everything kind of going, or was it just we're going to talk to you, we're going to talk to you, we're going to talk to you? How did that whole thing happen?
I think that we were just getting information piece by piece. There wasn't a very much like, all right, I'll sit down. I was like, hey, this is what's about to happen. And here we go. But I also believe that that's how they were getting information. Right. The people that, we connected with or that we were talking with at the network. So everybody was kind of in the dark, so to speak.
Yeah.
And they were just getting information as it came in, and then decisions were having to be made with this limited amount of information on both parties. It was just very much honestly a really unfortunate time, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody likes to move that way in their professional career.
No, because the leaks were out there early, and I know on all of your fan pages, every single one of yours and all the others, people were saying, when's the next season? And you were all addressing it the best you could. Hey, look, we're waiting to hear word from the network. They're still working things out. We don't know what's going to happen. But the honestly, I heard the leaks from people that we know through the expo and everything else that they were going to kind of clean house. And of course, the rumor was, and I'm not saying this is the case, and you could say whatever you want about, the rumor was that Zach Baggins was the mastermind who was saying, I want everybody off the network but me. Now, again, I don't know if that's true. I'm not saying if it is or if it isn't. He's the only guy there. I don't know. Yeah. But all I know is that all of those shows were, in my opinion, were doing well for Discovery. Now, Warner Brothers is a different animal. Who knows what their bottom line is?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, it's just not a one house. It's not like a one parent household decision anymore, right? Like, we're coming into this co-parenting situation, and now it's like, how do we manage it? So we were talking to, let's say, one parent, and then the other parent has to give their say. And like, that information may be different. So I'm not really sure, like, kind of like who was responsible for it all. I think it's safe to say that times definitely changed.
Well, yeah.
Outside of that merger.
Right.
And they had to figure out how to pivot. And I think they're still in that particular place.
But I do believe you had mentioned the next year or two. I do think there's always peaks and valleys and waves of different. The genre sometimes becomes so oversaturated with different things and YouTube and all this other stuff.
Let me ask you a question, John. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you think the genre is oversaturated?
I think it was at one point. I think YouTube and TikTok definitely added to that in a big way, because I think people get mad at me when I say this. I think there are a lot of content creators out there who really don't know a lot about the paranormal. They're just out there. What was that? Running around, lights blinking, and seeing demons everywhere. I mean, I've been doing this a long. That's my opinion, but I do believe I do believe in a year or two, probably more like 2 years. I think guys like you, I think guys like Kindred Spirits, I think I think that there'll be a second wave of, just like what happened with Ghost Hunters. Okay. I think it will come back. I really do. I think
there's too many people out there who love
and you have a built-in audience. All of you have a built-in audience. It's proven when you show up at conventions, they're there. You can see them. It's not just a number on a like or a share.
We've got people that travel from out of the United States to come into the expo to see you guys.
You guys put on a great expo. Like, that's a beautiful thing. Like, I don't know if you get enough accolades for that, but let me tell you, I think you guys do a wonderful job.
Well, we appreciate it. We try our best.
Yeah. Like, how many people do you guys typically have on an average?
Well, the hot year,
I feel like they've all been hot, and not just temperature.
The July massacre that was 100 degrees. We broke the building. The fire marshal shut us down 3 times. He
We
made
have
then the township made us move to November and make it 2 days. So we didn't get as many as we did during a 1-day July event, but we do well over those 2 days. You guys are busy the whole entire time. Project Fear is busy.
Yeah.
Everyone's busy. We love doing it. I mean, we wouldn't do it. We don't make any money off of that convention.
Yeah, we do it for
all
free.
of that money goes
we
to
volunteer.
yeah, the mayor's charity fund. We just love doing it. We like being around people like you and all the others. We like that people
Tell
come.
them the truth. We couldn't afford. Listen, we both were saying, you know, he has kids, I had kids,
Right.
you know, and we couldn't afford to go to these things
For $100 and $200, and so we wanted to make it affordable and give people as much as we could for their money. That's always been the goal, and to raise money for charity.
Understood. And you guys have done a wonderful job. Like
group effort.
What's the charity you guys typically raise money for?
It's the mayor's charity fund. When you bring this up, it goes to the people. Woodbridge Township is a huge township in New Jersey, and if things happen to families, if they become homeless for whatever reason, if they have a death, if a tragedy, their house burns down.
There was a young guy that went to the high school there that had a brain tumor. The money went to help him and his family.
Right.
Another guy, just his mother was his caretaker. He was disabled. She passed away. He was in a fire shortly after at the house that burned down his house, and the money from this past year went towards getting him back on his feet.
That's beautiful.
So I mean, that's why we. I can't thank you guys. You know how much I thank you guys. I always thank you guys the whole entire time. I do that with everyone, the vendors, you guys, because without you, we don't have what we have, and we're so very appreciative. Every year, I say to you and to Marcus, and I hope you come back. I hope you guys will come back next year, and I mean that.
Yeah,
we want you back, not just because you're a huge draw, but because you're good people and you're great to your fans, and you add to the energy we hope to have in that building every year.
Yep. Appreciate that. Thank you. You know, I'm always welcome to come back. I'm always welcome.
Well, we're working with, just so you guys know, it's already sold out. We announced an event with Juwan at
Camp Evans.
At Camp Evans. It's you'll see the place. It's an old military research facility in October. Literally 3 days. Sold out. Boom. Done.
Listen. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
I mean, it was like Lee Kirkland, who we both know, was like, "How you doing with ticket sales?" I'm like, "They're done. They're done." I literally announced it. So people are looking forward to seeing you. We're looking forward to hanging out with you. What are the plans beyond Ghost Brothers now? Are you guys working on developing like Project Fear type of thing? Are you not looking to do that? Are you looking to do other things now? What are your plans?
We are collectively, we're working on trying to bring people something similar to Ghost Brothers, where the 3 of us are investigating.
Okay.
So that is something that we have been talking about, and we're putting some pieces together to see if we can make that happen for everybody. Okay. And then individually, I'm doing a lot more events, and I've been doing a dinner party. I did a dinner party series at Belvoir Winery in Missouri.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a one-night event, and we had a wellness experience where we had an expert come in and did a sound bath meditation. So we did releasing of things that didn't serve us. We did trying to manifest new things.
He jumped right into it. He was doing it too.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing. Then I ended it with a presentation and really answered some of the questions that you asked here today. And then it was also a catered dinner. So it was a very intimate experience. And that is something that I've been starting to do, and I really would love people to come out. I got one coming up November 23rd. Yeah, the location will be announced soon.
Okay.
So everybody be on the lookout for that. I'm also doing an event with Dustin Perry.
Yeah. Oh, nice guy.
Yeah, I love Dustin. Oh my God, Paranormal Rockstar. That's my guy.
Dustin Perry does like 80 events a year.
I love Dustin, man. I'm about to say he's like the hardest working man in the biz.
He
Oh my
is.
God, I don't know if he's ever
He
home. I
is.
think he's
Yeah.
doing an event right now from his basement.
I know. I
And
know.
he never loses his
But we're
kindness.
gonna get an event with you and Steve. That's the goal
Let's do that.
for
Yeah.
next year. Definitely, we're
Let's
putting
do
that
that.
together because
Um,
I know you guys get along, and I'd like to see the interaction between you both. You know, with people and doing whatever we do within the buildings. And we were this close to putting it together, but the dates didn't work
Yeah.
out. But
I
definitely.
got to ask you one more question from me.
Oh, here
Yeah.
we go.
And I do this with everybody. And it can be anything. It doesn't matter. Is there something that you could share with us that's never been put out there that nobody knows about you? And just for an idea, Sherry Denabeni shared that she was named after a racehorse.
Okay.
That was hilarious.
Rochelle can use her feet for things.
Hmm.
Chip Coffee has been arrested.
Yeah, we found out Chip had been arrested twice. We didn't know that either.
Okay.
So you gotta top all that, Juwan. Let's hear it. Who'd you kill?
No, wow. Here we go. As soon as I get off of this call, I'm getting a knock on my door. Excuse me, Mr. Mass, come with me. No.
It could be a weird habit. Could be anything weird that you normally don't admit to.
Weird habit. I am. It's like a dating app. It's very much like a dating app. Let's say I'm gonna tell you something deeper than that. It's gonna be this is like a belief that I have, and I don't know if it's true. It's just something that I hold. The cemetery that I had my first paranormal experience, the one that was family owned, where some of my ancestors were buried, sometimes I think the spirit that may have been following me could be my grandfather. The problem is he hadn't passed away while I was like that time I had that experience.
Wow.
But fast forward, he did pass away on my birthday, and like I always see that time on the clock. And so I always feel like he may be there in some capacity. Like I just think that's like maybe it's him in some way, shape, or form. And he is buried in that cemetery now.
So that's kind of unique. So he was still alive when you had that experience. So maybe it was his essence.
Yeah, something. I only say that because I know he's buried in that cemetery now.
Right.
And I haven't had an experience going back there, but it's just we have a certain connection that I don't know.
And that's the thing to wrap it up, because we appreciate you being on as long as you have. You find out the longer you do this, the more you do this, that there are so many different ways and theories in which spirits can potentially reach out to you and connect with you. And I really like the idea that you took part in those sessions that you were just talking about before, because if everyone should be open to, except for, of course, like sacrificing animals and weird crap like that, but just be open to the idea of spirituality through different things. As long as you're not going crazy and hurting anyone, you really don't know what your life journey is until you try different things and listen to different beliefs and theories. Yeah, and open yourself up to things. Otherwise you're on that path. There's no reason why you can't just venture off and get back on.
You ever think about writing a book, Juwan?
Maybe. I have a lot to tell. So
yeah,
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I
really think you have an inspiring thing about you that you could write for the next few generations. I really do.
I'm gonna take that. Well received, Chris. Thank you. I received that. That landed very well.
Well, Juwan, we will see you on October 11th, and then again on November 2nd and 3rd. New Jersey Power Unity tickets are still available online. Juwan will be there with Marcus and Dalen. the three of them together, again, you won't have a bad time with the three of them together, especially if you attend the VIP party, which Juwan is the DJ for at least half of it.
That's another thing. I have DJ'd it. Yes.
And that's usually when the people are up dancing because he moves our older DJ out of the way. And,
he got the party going because the DJ was not holding up his end.
But thank you. Thank you
no.
so much for everything, Juwan. We sincerely appreciate everything you've done for us, and we're looking forward to seeing you again real soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. I appreciate the time and looking forward to seeing you guys in the fall. It's going to be great.
All right.
Have
Take care.
Everyone. Thank you.
Great guy. Great guy. And
easy interview.
Yeah, we were trying to get Juwan on for a while, going back and forth. Juwan, really busy. All those guys are busy, and tried to cover as much as we can. But yes, we didn't make it all about the paranormal. Just about his life and about what he's doing and his beliefs, and that's what an interview should be. You should be able to get to know the person a lot better. And Juwan is just what you saw. That's what we like about Juwan.
24/7.
He is just
that we've seen
so approachable. He's such a good guy. He's funny. Every time I've seen him, he will turn around and one-on-one, he'll talk to you.
Yeah.
And when he did that thing with the pizza, we were all there and we were like, everyone was going around saying, "Hey, pizza's coming. Pizza's coming." Juwan ordered pizza for everyone. And I'm thinking, wait, Juwan ordered pizza for himself. And they're like, no, Juwan ordered pizza for and the Domino's guys came and he was like, and they literally put the pizza down and Juwan was just like, have at it. Everyone have at it. And he's just that kind of guy. No ego whatsoever, which again impresses me even more. So thanks for watching, guys. Tomorrow we are heading out to Gettysburg. We hope some of you may be doing that as well, and that we get to see you this weekend. We'll be leaving tomorrow afternoon. We'll be in Gettysburg by probably 4:00-ish. And we'll be there through Sunday. So hopefully we'll see you there. We'll be live streaming throughout on the ride there, showing you things that are going on as we're hanging out with everyone. And if you guys show up, we'll
just
get you guys on the live stream. Have a good time. Hopefully we'll see you there. And thanks for watching. And as usual, thanks for your support. Thank you again, Juwan, for coming on.
Be safe. Be healthy. Please. It's really important in all these times where there's a lot of, pointing fingers and infighting and all that stuff and a lot of hate out there. Be kind to each other, because a smile, a gesture that's nice can make all the difference in somebody's life. So just remember that.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Have a good night.